Imagine a man who could shift the course of a nation with the sheer force of his will. A man whose hands, once set on the plow of progress, refused to look back. This was John Pombe Joseph Magufuli, Tanzania's fifth president, known affectionately and fearfully as the Bulldozer. His presidency was a complex saga of relentless ambition and stark controversies that left an indelible mark on the heart of East Africa. This is not just a story of a leader, but a vivid portrait of a man who walked the thin line between authoritarianism and transformative governance. John Magufuli's legacy is painted in bold strokes of infrastructural mammoths and austere governance, yet shadowed by his curtailing of freedoms and a pandemic response that drew global gasps. His life invites us to ask, what is the cost of progress? What is the weight of a legacy? John Pombe Joseph Magufuli was born into a life far removed from the corridors of power in the small town of Chato, Tanzania. He was a curious child whose thirst for knowledge was evident from his early days at Chato Primary School. His academic journey was a testament to his relentless pursuit of education, moving from Katoki Seminary to eventually earning a PhD in chemistry. His formative years were marked by a strict discipline in education and a burgeoning interest in science. This discipline later became a hallmark of his leadership style. Magufuli's transition from a student to a teacher and then to an industrial chemist set the stage for his entry into the political arena, a move that would eventually lead him to the highest office in Tanzania. Before the political limelight beckoned, Magufuli was molding young minds in the classroom at Sengerema Secondary School, imparting knowledge in chemistry and mathematics. His shift to an industrial chemist at Nyanza Cooperative Union Limited was a precursor to his storied political career. It was here that Magufuli's knack for leadership and efficiency began to surface, traits that would define his later roles in government. His election as MP for Chato in 1995 marked the end of his early professional journey and the beginning of a significant new chapter. This role transitioned him from local influence to national prominence, setting the stage for a political ascent that few could have predicted. John Magufuli's rise in Tanzanian politics was rapid and impactful. Appointed as Deputy Minister for Works, he quickly earned a reputation for being uncompromising in his quest to improve Tanzania's infrastructure. His hands-on approach and refusal to tolerate inefficiency earned him the nickname the Bulldozer. From 2000 to 2015, Magufuli held various critical ministerial roles, from Deputy Minister of Works to a full minister in the same docket in 2000. He then served as Minister of Lands and Settlements under President Jakaya Kikwete, then as a Minister of Livestock and Fisheries, and finally back to the Ministry of Works from 2010 to 2015, each posting enhancing his profile as a dedicated and effective leader. His tenure as Minister of Works, in particular, was noted for significant strides in road construction and infrastructure, setting the groundwork for his eventual rise to the presidency. In 2015, Magufuli's presidential campaign was as unexpected as it was vigorous. Nominated by the Chama cha Mapinduzi party, he was a dark horse who quickly became the frontrunner with his anti-corruption rhetoric and promise of efficiency. In 2015, he became an unexpected presidential candidate for the CCM, the successor to Julius Nyerere's Tanganyika African National Union Party, TANU, which had been in power since independence, but was rocked at the time by internal divisions and corruption scandals. The leading candidates for the nomination were January Makamba, Edward Lowassa, Bernard Membe, and many other party stalwarts. Winning 58% of the vote, his first term was marked by bold decisions. He looked to finance most of the country development projects using domestic taxes and would try his best to move away from donor funding. Within 2 years, he had signed off on building of a dam atop the Rufiji River, a project that had stalled with successive governments since 1960. His decisions included slashing governmental spending and imposing severe restrictions on foreign travel for government officials, and also kicked out foreigners who had infiltrated the Tanzanian job market. He engaged in many trade wars with neighboring countries, especially Kenya, with numerous tariff barriers and sporadic closure of the border crossing for commercial vehicles and the canceling of landing rights for aircraft from Kenya. His administration's focus on massive infrastructure projects like the Standard Gauge Railway and the revival of Air Tanzania were significant contributors to Tanzania's economic surge, marking a period of intense development and growth. He built many highways and tarmacked and improved many feeder roads in the country. He was a big proponent for Tanzania First and Hapa Kazi Too, a call to work for the government and Tanzanians. He canceled concessional mining rights of many foreign companies, arguing that they were exploiting Tanzanian natural resources with little compensation to show for it. However, Magufuli's tenure was not without its dark shades. His governance style, marked by a crackdown on freedoms and a heavy hand on the media, drew criticism both domestically and internationally. The controversial Statistics Act and Media Services Act curtailed freedoms under the guise of national interest, a move that many labeled as authoritarian. The act criminalized publishing statistics and independent research without government approval. Amendments to the Electronic and Postal Communications Act restricted freedom of speech online, while the 2016 Media Services Act handed sweeping powers to the government to fine or shut down media houses with little oversight. His handling of the COVID-19 pandemic, characterized by denial and minimal action, further polarized opinions about his leadership, showcasing a leader unwilling to bow to conventional pressures or scientific consensus. As the coronavirus took hold across the globe, Magufuli downplayed its severity and rejected the idea of locking down. Tanzania officially stopped reporting case numbers in April 2020, remaining open to travelers and without restrictions on social gatherings. Magufuli said that the virus was a Western hoax and could not survive in Christ's body. He mocked mask wearers and told Tanzanians to treat flu-like symptoms with steam inhalation and other traditional herbal medicines. Some have argued with an election looming in 2020, Magufuli needed to hit the campaign trail and needed the electorate to come out in numbers on the campaign stump and election day. Magufuli's re-election in 2020 was overshadowed by allegations of voting irregularities. He won with a landslide victory, garnering 84% of the vote, the highest since multi-party elections started in 1995, beating the main opposition Chadema party, led by Tundu Lissu, who had 13% of the vote. There was high-handedness by the security agents and a crackdown on dissent. So brazen was Magufuli that he intimidated voters in opposition strongholds, telling them he won't bring development to these areas if they didn't vote for him. His second term continued his focus on infrastructure while also perpetuating the controversies of his governance style. Magufuli was a man on a mission and could not be told no. Notwithstanding, Magufuli was loved by the masses who were tired of delayed services, bad roads, nepotism, and corruption of the previous successive regimes. He also led by example, only making his first official foreign trip 1 year after his election in 2016 to Rwanda, and cumulatively from 2016 to 2019 did only 10 trips outside Tanzania, and all were within the African continent. It is for this reason that his sudden disappearance in 2021 led to rampant speculation, culminating in the announcement of his death from heart complications by his Vice President Samia Suluhu, a conclusion not universally accepted by many of his constituents. John Pombe Magufuli's legacy is a tapestry of undeniable progress and contentious policies. His infrastructural and anti-corruption initiatives set Tanzania on a path of rapid development, yet his authoritarian approach and handling of the pandemic painted a complex picture of his leadership. As Tanzania moves forward under new leadership, the full measure of Magufuli's impact remains a subject of intense debate and reflection, symbolizing a period of profound transformation and stark contradictions.